Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Starladder Season 10, European Day 11. We've got our second game of the day, xGame.kz versus Meet Your Makers. I'm Zayori, joined once again by Blaze. How you feeling, buddy? I'm sure little has changed since we last chatted, but 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, nice little break between the games, but obviously we had a really good one out of Team Secrets match, and now we're going to be seeing X Game versus Meet Your Makers here, and this is probably a pretty close matchup between the two sides. I mean, obviously both teams have their ups and downs, but we have seen some great potential from both sides as far as what they could really do with a couple of their more signature heroes. When they get the tanky frontliners, very often X Game can really make some awesome plays happen and win out the earlier fights. But MYM, they're going for this clear push strat, which is going to try to just give them the momentum to take the game early.
Yep. No surprise at all. You know, Blaze, I have to admit, I'm getting a little tired of this meta. I'm not going to bullshit any longer. I've been trying to hype it up, pretend like this is interesting, but Jesus, dude.
I mean, I don't think it's that bad so much as I'm so excited for what we're going to see in 6.82 and alternatively.
Yes.
Like, it's okay. Like, Dota is Dota no matter how you play it. And when you're trying to optimize, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. But what sticks out is when the players find something new, find something innovative, and there are only so many more avenues they can go down with what we've seen digressed in this most recent patch. So that's why we're glad the game is always actively updating, and we always see a new beta, a format at least in beta, if not being actively
Yeah.
output. So 6.82, very soon indeed, and although I'm afraid maybe what Oracle will do to the pub metagame, as far as the competitive stuff, we'll be seeing some awesome stuff.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Not necessarily looking for Oracle, to be perfectly frank, but an interesting choice here is MYM. We'll spice things up a little bit. Mr. Undying snatched here. Now, this is a very interesting pickup, and for a couple of reasons. Undying is one of these heroes that is unbelievably powerful in the early levels. Kind of like your Ogre Magi, Mr. McGee. You just don't want to square off with this guy at level 1. He'll cut you down, he'll steal your strength, and just punch you in the face, and you won't even realize how much damage you're taking until you go, wow, I only have 300 hit points. I don't know what happened there. But he doesn't really scale all that well. I suppose you can make a case that Flesh Golem is okay in the mid to late game, but all things considered, he tends to fall off pretty quick. And the few times that we see Undying, it seems to me more often than not, he's just pretty ignored early on, where teams will just dodge tri-lanes against him and rotate lanes around. And this kind of wait until his potency is a little bit less potent. I don't know of another way to say it, but I guess with this pushing lineup, that's a whole different beast. You can't really just ignore him if they're grouped up in a 5-man death ball.
Definitely. His early game lane dominance is going to be what he's looking for. As far as kind of mid to late game relevancy, it definitely comes down to the ultimate. It was buffed to pierce through magic immunity, so not only if enemies pick up BKB, they'll be affected, but he'll also be able to slow down and enhance the damage received by the Earth Panda, which is actually a really big deal at trying to actually bring him down, since it's the beefy one. So yeah, I'd say that there's a lot of relevancy to Undying in this kind of metagame. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen him all that much. We've seen a couple of teams fringe pick him, but I would put him right there on the front line as one of the more potent heroes that can deal with these tanky guys, which is draining out their HP. And like you said, he just is one with the death ball. He really just wants to get in there and make some pain happen. The problem being that, of course, after heroes actually start getting damaged, things like Tombstone and Decay don't really matter that much.
Yes, and that is the big issue. He does have some scalability with the ultimate in terms of the Aghanim Scepter, though not an item he'll frequently pick up. He tends to be your pipe carrier, often a mech carrier, though, with a DP and a Jakiro. They may want to prioritize that on somebody who will find a little bit more farm, but it seems like there's just always a more effective item for Undying to pick up than the Aghanims. I don't know that I've ever actually seen him get one in a competitive game, but who knows? First time for everything. Maybe this will be the turning of the tides, and we'll see the scourge come about, the plague, if you will. Old Arthas, we're gonna do him proud.
Well, there we go. We'll see. But I think that Aghanims is kind of like, at best, a third item you pick up. You still need so much more prior to that.
Yeah.
The mechanism will probably come out on him or the Death Prophet. I don't like it as much on the Jakiro here, at least not with this composition of heroes. But yeah, in general, as long as he has like Arcane's mechanism, he's still going to be very relevant and can go for that late game pipe if we see one more source of magic damage from X game. So for right now, it's going to be really good in the lanes, but to what end? Are they going to go for aggressive tri lane? And if so, what hero are they really putting pressure on? I kind of feel like if X Game just drafts like a Weaver or some other defensive carry, then even an aggro tri wouldn't actually be able to net that many kills. So yeah, we'll see what they have in mind with this Undying pick. I do like him with the Jakiro, though. It used to be absolutely broken when Ice Path was one of the best spells in the game, but
10
since the nerf
seconds
they
remaining.
haven't really seen the trialing together as often.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah. Okay, they'll grab Bane.
Dire team pick.
Well, I guess that stands to reason it will be a core Jakiro.
Mm-hmm.
A Jakiro Undying Bane Tri-Lane. That's rather interesting. I guess there's some pretty potent setup there. You use your Nightmare to get it going. Should be an easy ice path, and then everything else can kind of follow suit, and that should mean a fairly easy kill.
Yeah.
But I like your train of thought here. I think something like a Weaver or
10
some other
seconds
very
remaining.
elusive carry will really give MYM a run for their money.
Enchantress.
They'll
That's
grab
good.
the Enchantress here, so they'll get the Sprunker
Radiant
for
team
their
ban.
second support.
This honestly is very reminiscent of an NVMI draft, a Goblack draft, if you will. Like if they last picked Drow Ranger, for example, I know it's obviously weird to say, but if they last picked Drow Ranger, this would
10
essentially be what
seconds
Goblack goes
remaining.
for half the times he plays with his team. Just going for the
Dire
really
team
tanky ranged
ban.
heroes that can benefit from the aura and create space for that hero like Drow so that she can't be
Radiant
pressured too
team
hard.
pick.
If they were going for it, I would definitely prefer it as a last pick rather than a first pick, but more likely you're just going to see more of a standard core hero here that can just kind of take advantage of the enemy space, or maybe even just a solo hero. I mean, they could go aggro try with Jakiro and Dying Bane, farm up the Jakiro as we've seen, and just make whatever is farming on X Games life a living hell. So yeah, a safe lane solo or a Drow, or I don't know. I
10
mean,
seconds
there's so many
remaining.
different ways to go with it now that they've gotten these four heroes that can just
5
do their
seconds
thing, do create
remaining.
space, deal damage to towers, and the Venomancer will follow.
Dire team pick.
Okay, so, well, I guess they do have some sort of ability here. DP and Undying will tank up a bit, but I don't know. I just look at this lineup and see them very susceptible to like the Brewmaster / Razor jumping on top of them and not really having an easy way to deal with this Razor either. They don't have much to break that static link early on. And once Brew gets a Blink Dagger, I can just see him jumping on these heroes and
10
it not
seconds
being a fun time.
remaining.
But Veno is one that synergizes well with the push. He'll be putting down some wards of his own and
5 seconds
throwing out all
remaining.
sorts of poisons.
Yeah, I think that if they could just keep the Razor in a locked position, then they
Reserve
can
time.
easily kill him off with things like the Tombstone as well as just their continuous damage. You talk about like when you see the Viper, Jakiro, Dragonite damage over time effects. Well, Jakiro, Venomancer, and Death Prophet after a couple Crypt Swarms still put out a huge amount of damage, and just a single Gale into Tombstone is going to be plenty to keep a person in a single position. So if Razor's able to stay on the fringe of the fight and just throw out a
10
couple plasma
seconds
fields,
remaining.
I definitely agree. But this is not a lineup where you want your Lightning
5
Remnant to
seconds
just
remaining.
jump into the fray. You have to be very careful because otherwise all these nukes will come through. But as I mentioned, they do
Radiant
have
team
weaknesses when it
pick.
comes down to hero with maximum mobility, and the Weaver is online for X Game.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement here. A very smart pick, especially with that final pick, Venomancer. Weaver just doesn't really care about Veno all that much. All those slows are countered by Shikuchi, and he will be a hero that will get a Linken's and get some regeneration to help counteract some of the DOT effects. So, I don't know. I think this X Game draft is just a little bit more scary relative to what MYM are bringing to the field, and I think they're just a little bit more well-suited to deal with the aggression that MYM will put out. I bet MYM will be able to grab a couple of Tier 1 tower kills, maybe a few Tier 2s, but breaking high ground I do not think will be an easy feat.
Yeah, and the question is whether or not they
10
go for the aggressive
seconds
tri-lane or
remaining.
the defensive one. It seems like because they don't have a traditional offlaner other than
5
Undying,
seconds
that they
remaining.
probably just want to put the Venomancers in a solo lane and the Death Prophet as well. But if they do that, then they're essentially forcing the aggressive tri-lane against a Weaver that you're not going
Prepare
to be
for
able to
battle.
kill. You will, in turn, make it so that the Enchantress doesn't get out-farmed because she has to be relevant on the lane, but if the core hero doesn't die and the Rubik and Enchantress eventually hit level 6, it still won't be for much value.
Yeah, I wish I could counter you and play devil's advocate here, but I think you're right on the money with that, my friend. Mantis will head to the safe lane. It will be Whatafaka with the Razor in the mid. And here's the aggro try from the Dire. Reeves on the Rubik. No, that's not Reeves from Dota Cinema. There's more than one Reeves out there, guys. Come on, come on. Equal going to be on the Enchantress, and it will be Stallcat on the Brewmaster here, headed to the bottom lane. Looks like Equal will move into the Radiant jungle for a little bit of aggressive jungling, though. Has a Smoke of Deceit picked up already, and a beautiful hairstyle. Look at that. The Inscribed Springs Lilium Crown. Wow, he's only enchanted 62 creeps with that guy. Still a fresh item pickup there.
Yeah, so it's interesting that they're actually just going to have an inverse stance here. Go say, okay, we figure you're going to go for the aggro try. We'll go ahead and shift our attention down there. They got a great Observer Ward already. They're blocking up the spawn, I believe, as well as just making it so that they are very obvious in their rotations when they move about. So the Observer Ward will make it so that Enchantress is much more confident moving around the enemy jungle, and will make it a pretty easy time for the Weaver, but they switch it up again. They're going to send Mantis up top, send the Brewmaster down bottom, and yeah, they really do seem to be kind of shifting their focus when it comes down to this laning phase.
Yeah, on the Radiant side, the 2-1-2 comes out as Baby Knight takes the Death Prophet mid. For now, it'll be Blonde on the Bane. Arise is the stand-in here on the Venomancer. Then that will put Rise, not Arise, but just regular Rise with a Y on the Undying, joined by Ace up here on the Jakiro. So it should be a farming Jakiro, it looks like. Yeah, he'll go for the fast Basilius, and Undying just gets some consumables here and grabs himself a Stout Shield for some extra survivability. But interesting stuff coming about. Rubik will just move into the Radiant jungle, and Enchantress will start on the high ground, find herself a tomato, kill the potato, and find a nice Hellbear Smasher to get things started. Looks like they will rendezvous here and possibly go for a gank in the mid lane. It does get pinged out. This ward does give a little bit of intel just in that little high ground area there. And the mid lane should be a little bit wary. Baby Knight does not seem privy to it. He'll get telekinesis to the low ground. Tomato will hit him with a Thunderclap, and Plasma Field to bring him down. Whatafaka grabs the first blood as Equal almost dies as the tower walks away with 43 hit points to spare. That Decay doing some work, but not enough to save the Baby Knight.
Yeah, Rise actually saw the Hellbear just chilling out, and he's like, okay, I mean, that must have been enchanted. There's no reason a creep would do that. I think the health bar color changes as well, so the fact that they weren't able to avoid that gank was quite unfortunate, and maybe a delayed communication. In either case, xGame going to be able to get a very nice first blood, and yeah, they're actually going to be forced to TP the Jakiro out as well. I'm not sure if they thought there was more behind the Rubik rotating, or they really just want to fully shift these lanes, but no. Ace TP's back just to refill, and he's going to be going back out of the top lane with the help of the Undying. This is not how they wanted the laning phase to pan out, and I think that's the most critical point in time for MYM.
Yeah, exactly. They've got the pushing lineup here, not the late game advantage, and already at a disparity not only because of the first blood, but just in terms of the laning phase. And looking at the raw last hits, xGame have a pretty obvious advantage there. Arise, the only one farming well as he should be, sitting in the safe lane as the Venomancer. Weaver up top, 8-5, off to an okay start. As now Ace and Rise rejoin the lane. Reeves will rotate around, finds the Undying, will take a Liquid Fire, and may be forced to use a Telekinesis. Nope, he'll be just fine as the Decay comes his way. But Jakiro not really finding much in this top lane. 5-1 to get things started, and that TP back home will really slow down his potential momentum.
Yeah, and if the Enchantress gets some good creeps, as we do see 2 Dark Trolls, there could be some potential there for the gank. Obviously, the Radiant Observer Ward is showing it off, and they're just going to make sure that they keep their distance here.
That's a lot of skeleton babies.
Yeah, small little army there. They're Rise the Undead. Yeah, and we'll see them actually just keep farming away. No real issues there, but yeah, as far as dealing with this Weaver, they don't really have any great answers. The only thing is Fiend's Grip, which Rubik is great at not only negating, but potentially stealing to use it on an opponent. So, yeah, they have to get the Silence and Gale essentially on a Weaver in order to bring him down, and that means Mantis is generally speaking, just going to be able to avoid any onslaught therein. But we'll see. Maybe miracles can happen. For now, right now, they're just trying to get out of the laning phase and start grouping up together, but they need a few levels before that. Venomancer at level 4 is going to be maxing out Plague Wards, and he does pick up the early Bassi for the push.
Yeah, he's been using his mana pretty aggressively here. He's thrown out a couple Gales, but ultimately Bruce done a good job pulling aggro off the tower and not letting Arise set up that army of mass Serpent Wards. No, they're not Serpent Wards. They're Plague Wards. Oh boy. xGame rotating towards the mid lane here. It will be just a singleton Centaur for the Enchantress. He is sitting level 3 with a point in attendance, or the attendance rather, and the Rubik does find a double damage rune, and this should be a pretty easy gank onto Baby Knight. I think they can even afford to dive the tower. He doesn't seem to see it coming. Telekinesis right into the Centaur. There's your hoof stomp, and what a fuck it will be there once more with the Plasma Field. It's a dead DP and another kill for the Razor.
Yeah. And normally speaking, you would say you don't want to tower dive against an Undying. He could just TP Tombstone very quickly, but these are very quick kills. These are like in and out within 3 seconds time. They're already done with the dirty business. And up on bottom lane, we're going to see Stallcat go down. The damage over time taking its toll. Just right-clicking away gets a just a level 1 brain sap, but it's enough since they do have already all this damage over time.
Yep, and up top, Mantis gets caught inside of an ice path, but only level 1. He'll be able to Shikuchi back to safety, and the Weaver will survive. The CS gap is closing between the Weaver as well as Jakiro, as Ace finds a little bit of room to farm. And even this Death Prophet still only behind by 4 last hits, but Razor with quite a few more denies, sitting at 12 to her 5. And there's a pretty big level disparity here as well. Razor halfway through level 6, and DP not even at that level 6 mark quite yet.
Yeah, still supports have been roaming a lot here. We do see that the Rubik is only at level 3. That's actually the lowest in the game, right next to the Undying. And so he isn't going to be able to really make use of that spell steal very soon. And that's really important for halting the push, stealing Crypt Swarm and sending it back, maybe picking up an ultimate or two from heroes like Venno and Bane. So it is a really important timing for xGame. They're just going to wait it out for the moment, but they need more kills to really find their place, at least for that hero in particular. Another thing to look at is that WTF is going for a no static link build, and it seems weird because the unstable current doesn't really do that much for him in this game. Like, Bane's the only one who suffers from it. I guess Soul Rip is their only other single target ability, but in the end, he just knows that, like I said, he's not going to be able to stay on the front lines in these fights. He's going to be on the fringe. He's going to be getting the maximum damage from his plasma field, but he's not going to go in man mode. So that means that he just can go for a build that ignores the static link entirely and just get the most value out of these nukes.
Yeah, and even the unstable current isn't too bad, aside from the lack of single target abilities. The movement speed is pretty serious as well. The 12% does make him pretty speedy. Ooh, yeah, we'll see the Primal Split come out as Reeves just TP's home following the Poison Nova. Blonde taking some damage from the Panda, and, well, Panda will pause here. Stallcat throwing out the lols. Hotkeys. Uh-oh.
I think his control groups on his pandas are messed up. I think that's what they're pausing for. I don't know if that can be considered legitimate or illegitimate, but if there's, I mean, generally speaking, you go into a Dota 2 game with your pandas already configured because of how the Steam server saves your hotkeys. So if it's not the way it's supposed to be, you might be able to blame technical aspects rather than blaming the player himself. I'm not too sure. But in either case, it does affect how this plays out. He gets the stuns he needs, gets the right clicks he needs, and Stallcat will be able to make his way away.
Yep, and the Rubik did TP back to safety, and that is one of the problems with the Venomancer. No way to interrupt TPs, and when you put all those poisons on, heads-up player will just head towards home. Also recognizing Bane, only level 4, no Fiend script, so smart play there. But it ends up being a 1-for-1.
What do you think about the pause hotkeys thing? That's something that doesn't really come up, but it's like, I could see it going both ways. Like, obviously, it's something that game to game you usually see it being very consistent and not an issue, but do you think that's more on the player's responsibility, or do you think technical issues have enough of a hand in it?
Yeah, I think you make a good case that if it is a technical issue, I mean, this is obviously very difficult to prove online if any accusations ever came about, but in like a LAN environment, something like that, where you could see that, oh, I set these hotkeys, but something was reverted or something got set to default, I think that's pretty legit. If there was, like, you know, it should have been set up. If it's just one of those oversights of, oh, whoops, I'm in a LAN cafe and forgot to change my hotkeys around, that's a little more, it's right on the line. I think most teams will kind of give it a pass as just like, yeah, shit happens, we've all been there, as long as it's not being like super abused, but there is definitely potential for abuse in a situation like that. But yeah, that one I see as right on the line, where I could see some players being very salty about it and other players being like, well, not great, but, you know, it's pretty mild, you know. In the grand scheme of cheeses that you can do, yeah, that one I can at least stomach.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of it. But yeah, moving beyond that, looking at the progression of the two teams here, we see the Venomancer hasn't really been getting all that much. The CS scores across the entire board are pretty low right now. At 9 minutes, the top is 42. That's not that grand. And specifically the safe lane Venomancer, I know his base damage is low, but 34 CS is not really where you want to be at right now.
Yeah, Bruce's been doing a good job contesting the lane and has also found a lot of CS himself. Stalkat with Magic Wand boots and 1,500 gold, well on his way to a nicely timed Blink Dagger. We'll probably have it here right around the 11-minute mark, give or take, how this next skirmish comes out. And Feeble has been coming the Brewmaster's way. I think Bane has been pretty active with that, so that is affecting his ability to last hit. Still not too hard against the Venomancer, but certainly makes things more difficult, so maybe part of the reason why his CS is not as high as he'd like it to be. Ultimately, for an offlaner, he's doing pretty damn well, as Mantis in this solo safe lane role has been very efficient, still outfarming the Jakiro by a pretty decent margin, up by 8 CS right now, and also finding a lot of experience. That's another big deal for the Weaver. There is a Radiant Sentry Ward down, so they may be looking to set up a kill on him, but they'll reveal it. Now Mantis knows there's a sentry in that area, and he'll just back up and play it a little more passive.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is he doesn't have any HP regen, so he is harassed back significantly here, but the death, anytime he dies this game is going to be completely his fault. We do see the Rubik actually getting picked off underneath his own tower, gets hit by the Gale and the Nova, and if he tried to TP, he probably would have just gotten nightmared, so it doesn't work out, but that gives Bane level 6, and you see exactly their intentions. The second you, oh, canceled. Never mind. Intentions are ill-advised. They're going to be going ahead and just pushing down bottom.
Yeah, tower is taking a lot of damage as Veno starts massing that that ward army here. Oh, wow, what a plasma field from the Razor, doing a lot of damage to the Bane and Veno. Now Stalkat on his way in, does have an ultimate available, but Bane will put him in the Nightmare, and he'll be stuck in that Freddy Krueger dream world as he gets eaten by a Fiend's Grip, hits by a Venomous Gale, and that'll be an easy kill on the Brewmaster. Whatafaka comes in, almost brings down a Rise. Can he chase him down? Nope, won't go for it. He will be forced back, and it will just be a 1-for-0 trade in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, up top, Ace and Rise going blow for blow with Mantis. They've still got the Sentry Ward down. They don't have the damage. Impetus will chase down the Jakiro. And Equal, now on the run, does bring out the attendants. They are level 2, and that will be enough to ensure his survival.
Yep, no damage follow-up beyond that, but we do see Baby Knight pushing in the mid lane with his 1 point in Exorcism, 4 points of Witchcraft, so taking that down to about fifth of the HP. That's pretty nice for him. You're going to be able to pretty much claim the tower the next time Whatafaka leaves the lane, and as you said, the rotation was interesting, got a lot of damage out, but in the end doesn't net him any real kills there, so just playing passively for now. They know that they can afford to just kind of hold back because they're not the ones that are pressed for time. The only, like, as late game as this lineup may go, like 40 minutes with Veil of Discord Aghanim's for the Venomancer and Jakiro's damage, it still isn't going to be able to outscale a Weaver who could just go for BKB, Harder to Rask, Butterfly, and things of that sort. So, in general, they don't feel that pressed for time if they could just get cost-effective farm and repel the push when it comes in full.
Yes, sir. And now, down bottom, Arise working on his mech. Rubik will steal the Serpent Wards. What a good time to kill that Brewmaster in that skirmish before. That really slows down his Blink Dagger timing. We'll pick it up right now, but delays it by at least another minute, if not more. Razor getting that tier 1 tower in the mid did tip him over the edge to secure that big item pickup. Razor also grabbing his mech just about simultaneously with the Blink. So 2 big items, putting xGame.kz now in much more of a fighting form as they start to converge about the top lane, perhaps looking to pressure this tier 1 tower and put some damage onto this Jakiro, who still really hasn't found much in the way of item progression. Just Tranquil Boots and Basilius. Ooh, mid lane, Whatafaka stealing a lot of damage from Baby Knight, but ultimately won't pursue it. He is on Power Treads, and she is on Phase Boots, so DP just a little bit too speedy.
Bottom. There's going to be a Primal Split bringing down Arise. One more volley of right click would have been enough, but the Fire Panda, the one that actually does the damage, is gone. So it's just going to be a Magic Wand TP home. Arise just barely living there. The Buckler, the Basilius, both contributing to his armor pool. And yeah, the Fire Panda did go down. That's the important one. We do see Mantis just taking some damage here. Actually taking a lot of damage. Unnecessarily, I would say, but they get the flank, they get the disables, and they are going to be able to spring down too easily. So, a bit of a bait, easy pick and push, and a great flank from Whatafaka.
Yep, pick me a winner, as they say. Bottom lane, it will be a
Radiant's top
tower
tower
for
is
tower
under
exchange, as
Dire's
DP
bottom
gets credit for
tower
that one.
has fallen.
And this tower will fall to the wrath of the Razor, as
Radiant's top
Wadafaka
tower
gets
has fallen.
back-to-back tower kills here, really buffing up his farm. Now another 2,000 gold up on him, and he just completed the mech a few moments ago. Down in the bottom lane, Baby Knight pops the ultimate, the Exorcism, on that Death Prophet, and does some decent chunk damage to this tier 2 tower, takes it down below 1,000 hit points, and will do as much as she can before backing out, as xGame have come to the defense.
These exorcisms are still a little lackluster, as they've only been able to get some mild damage on the towers and haven't really net any tower kills so far. The tier 1 still standing in the mid lane, so Baby Knight retreating here. Maybe not what they wanted out of the Death Prophet to this point, but luckily she can... Okay, Mantis going... Actually, interesting movement there. Gets hit by Crisper and says, okay, I'll just time-lapse it up. He's essentially using his ultimate as a ring of health. Like, he's regenerating damage with that, pretty much using it on cooldown. Very risky business, but... doesn't feel too threatened unless they suddenly come out with blink daggers on heroes like Venno.
Yeah, very true. It will work out for him here. As now the blink dagger is up on Brewmaster, as we talked about. I already mentioned that, but haven't really seen him use it yet, as he will continue to find some farm. I think MYM are in pretty big trouble here. Already xGame have a solid 4,000 gold and experience lead, and only about 15 minutes, and we've talked about how they're the team with the late game advantage, and I think you're spot on about Baby Knight's ults. They haven't been bad, but they also haven't really been great. Now Mantis will bite off a little more than he can chew, as he gets caught in the feed script, and that'll be a Crypt Swarm to the face to bring him down after a silence started the whole thing off. So that is a step in the right direction for MYM, and maybe now they can finish off this tier 1 tower in the mid lane after all.
Yeah, the only two ways to bring him down is the feed script, which is legitimate if it's going to go for the full channel, and then the Gale plus Silence, which I kind of feel like if he gets hit by both of those, then he should have seen it coming. But in this case, it's just a good fog movement that the Bane pulled off, and once he gets his Blink Dagger, that's going to be coming out more frequently. But for now, it's going to be a just passive laning phase. Everybody will kind of go back to their side of the river, and back to business. This Rubik actually has gone for an interesting item build up here. What do you make of it?
Arcane Boots into a Void Stone. I guess he'll be getting a Yule's. Does that seem most reasonable? You don't see a Rubik rush a Void Stone too often. Usually it's straight for the Blink Dagger or stopping off for a Force Staff.
Yeah, I mean, the only item that he could be looking for really is the Yule Scepter. The Perseverance items don't make much sense. I mean, maybe you get the Weaver's Linkets for him, so you can just put it on him constantly, but otherwise, I really am not too sure about it. He had Plague Wards before, and if he was spamming that and thought, okay, if I just have enough Plague Wards, I'll be fine, then maybe he values mana more than usual, but no, I don't know. In this position, it does seem a little weird. It obviously is limiting in a supportive sense.
So he doesn't really have big mana issues once you get the Arcanes up. Yeah,
so it has
I don't
to be progression. It has to be Yule's or the Linked Sphere.
Yeah. I think Yule's makes the most sense, but still kind of odd here.
Attack.
It is an interrupt tool to deal with the Bane, but you're Rubik. You've got telekinesis, so I can't imagine that he's getting it just for an interrupt ability.
Dire's middle tower has been denied.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll see where he goes with it. I don't really have too much other theory crafting aside from what we've already established. Weaver will stop off for a Drum of Endurance, so maybe it is actually the Lincolns. It seems like Mantis is not rushing the pretty standard pickup there on the Weaver. He will get caught inside of the Ice Path up top. Another Fiend Script as they put down a Sentry Ward. Macro Pyre deployed, and yep, that'll be no time lapse for you, Mr. Weaver, and he will take a spill.
Yep. Bottom lane, we will see trouble brewing as they try to siege down bottom lane with this trifecta of heroes, but the Plague Wards are going to allow them to go into turtle position where they're going to have to commit a little hard. And actually, yeah, if they dove into the tree line here, they wouldn't find anything as he has just TP'd out. Even going for the Blink Clap, really wants to find this kill, but it's just not here. He's already TP'd mid.
And maybe another tower for tower exchange, so this time MYM have a huge pushing advantage, 4 points in that Liquid Fire. They will take down the top tier 1 quite easily, and the bottom tier 1 will start taking a lot of damage. A Glyph is available, and MYM could retreat to make a defense here, but instead they will commit up top, Exorcism deployed, and they'll do as much damage as they can to this tier 2, and it will be on xGame to make the defense. Radiant Glyph will come out. It'll just delay the inevitable. Now the TP's back, but a lot of damage to the tier 2 has already been done. They need to find some recovery kills.
Stolen.
Oh, that's good news, but they still get the tower. Silence does miss Manta, and now Rubik with the ghosts online is ready to fight. Green versus blue. Who is going to be the victor here, Blaze? Flesh Golem used as the Panda hops forward. Thunderclap gets silenced with that long cast point for the ultimate. Ace dies to the Weaver off to the side, and Reeves will probably fall to Blonde. Yes, he certainly will. Pardon me, Undying has already fallen as well. He finally gets off the split, but it's kind of a wasted ulti. Everyone for MYM has already made the retreat, and it will end as a 1-for-2 trade. Still not really what XGame were looking for. They give up 2 towers for 1, and only find out 1 hero kill advantage on a single support.
To be honest, that cost XGame my confidence in them as far as moving forward in the mid game. The fact that they wasted promo split there and get absolutely nothing as far as TP interrupts. The fact that Bane now has a blink dagger and continue to go for those pickoffs on Fiend's Grip. I actually think this game isn't as chalked out as we maybe have previously thought. There's a lot of opportunities for them to come back into this with obviously the towers that we see falling left and right, and now the potential to kill off the Weaver that much more often.
Yeah, and now an Aghanim's completed on Razor, so Wadafaka at least getting a little tankier with his ultimate now becoming more potent. He is still the #1 on net worth, which is good stuff, but they've put a lot of stock into shutting down this Weaver, and his farm now is mid-tier at best. He is #4 overall net worth, and so far Mantis has definitely been struggling to deal with this Fiend's Grip. The Bane has been on point so far with those ultimates. Speaking of Fiend's Grip in the mid lane, they may want to deploy it here on Wadafaka. They certainly will as he gets hit by a Gale. Telekinesis back onto Rise. Wadafaka almost survives but doesn't have the mana to use the mech. Oh man, that's a sad story.
Yeah, he got hit by the Poison Nova too, so Rise really wanted to secure that kill, make it not even a close issue. Reeves, right when the Fiend's Grip comes out, he goes ahead and steals Plague Ward, so that's a little awkward, because obviously the channeled spell is the one that you want to pick up pretty easily. But Plague Wards aren't bad in their own right. They're going to allow them to hold the line here, delay the usage of the Exorcism of Baby Knight, and yeah, that might be enough to keep their tower alive before Razor responds.
Oh, this is getting kinky in the mid lane. It's a little Plague Ward on Plague Ward action here, Blaze.
Yeah, but I don't know. The piercing damage applies to creeps, not wards, so I believe that it's going to be better just for the fortified aspect, but still the liquid fire will continue to push on through. So in the end, it's just a stalemate. It's not really going to be MYM doing more than half the towers for Aspen, and now the Brewmaster has a great ultimate coming out.
Yeah, he'll connect onto Ace. Mech comes out, but it won't be enough to keep the Jakiro alive. He'll delay the inevitable with the Yules, but still falls. Arise tries the TP home, but he'll get telekinesed, and this will be a 2-for-0 trade to get things started. The rest of MYM on the back foot. Blonde will rotate top. He'll be just fine. Has a TP at the ready if things get sticky. And that'll be the end of it. XGame now rotate down towards bottom, and I think they'll make a stop-off into the Roche pit. And yeah, they certainly will. Looking at the Vision, Radiant do not have confirmation, and Wadafaka will grab a double damage rune to assist in the Roshan.
Yeah, that would have been actually a little difficult without the double damage rune, just taking it out in a timely fashion. They certainly have the durability with 3 points in Untouchable, 4 points in Nature Attendance, and I think he had 4 Earn Charges. So there's no way they actually take damage from Roche. But as far as bringing him down, they don't have great heroes to do it with. The Geminate's probably their best bet. But now they got the DD on Razor. Doesn't take long at all, and they're not even going to lose much HP on their top tier 3 during the time where they're in the pit.
Yeah, the tower takes just a couple of creep shots there. Razor, the one to grab the Aegis of the Immortals we've talked about. One of the best Aegis carriers you could ever hope for, so certainly good news for Team XGame. Down in the bottom lane, Ace with a setup on the Stallcat, and Stallcat will just TP home. All right.
Oh no, Rise getting caught out here. Will they be able to interrupt the TP though? It doesn't look like they have anything, and the damage just isn't there. Close, but no cigar.
Oh, the impetus flying off the map. If that had connected, it would have been enough, but yeah, rolling the dice there as the Bane, or pardon me, not the Bane, the Undying survives. Well, Jakiro has completed a Yules, and what's all Ruby Tuesday gone for? Well, 2,100 gold. Maybe he's pulling up for the Blink Dagger now. It's just a casual Void Stone. Yeah, it is.
Casual Void Stone? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I hate that more than words can describe. Like, get an Urn of Shadows. I mean, I know they have the Urn on Enchantress, but like, just get something with the Sage's Mask. I don't know.
That is very odd, and I wonder what the plan was with that.
Yeah. I mean, he can later progress into Yules when he steals Exorcisms, and that's cool, I guess, but right now, like, the casual Void Stone is something that I don't think any hero deserves.
It's just not a value. Even the Perseverance is not a very good just a value item. Sure, you get a little extra damage and regen, but Yeah, the regeneration items based in the Perseverance tend to be not so great, like standalones. Anyhow, what a fuck it. He'll get caught in the mid lane here. He'll get silenced, and that will be the end of the Aegis. Rubik gets picked off as well. He does manage to steal something before he goes down, but loses it right away. In comes the Brew. We'll get off the split, and they're going hard onto Rise. The Exorcism still is live, and Baby Knight will be the next target of choice as the Panda will start to pursue. Lets him get away, and now they just turn their focus to Bane. And it looks like this fight will be an Aegis and Rubik traded for at least 2 heroes. But no, they won't even press forward for it. The Exorcism from Baby Knight just doing too much damage. The Tombstone in the back also helping out. And that's where it will end. Support for support. But of course, MYM bring down the Aegis as well.
Yeah, the big deal here is that these Rubiks, or sorry, the Bane's Fiend's Grips are not getting interrupted at all. They go for the full duration every single time, and even though the Blink Dagger is now up on the Rubik and has been up on the Panda for some time, he still just is finding those opportunities where he can make the most of that ultimate. So he's really making things happen for his team. He's gotten a part in all of the kills so far. 3 kills, 5 assists. This Bland is really making his mark across the map and showing what this hero really is worth. But even still, there is some counterplay potential long term if Rubik is able to get in position and Reeves is able to make things happen. For now, he's just going to pick up a bunch of wards, 4 sentries, obs, stealing up some more plague wards. He wants wards of multiple colors.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't really commented on this Enchantress all too much, as Eagle has been fairly quiet, but he's 2-0-5, has not fallen yet, and spent a lot of time farming away, picked up that 4-staff Urn of Shadows, and now well on his way to a Scepter, and only about 1,500 gold off. So this Enchantress will actually start to transition into a carry pretty soon here. Once she hits level 16 and maybe looks towards a Mask of Madness, that impetus will be pretty damn scary. Now in the mid lane, MYM group up for another tower push. This will bring down the tier 2 in the mid, and that means only 1 outer tower remaining for the Dire side. Weaver down bottom will get caught inside of a Yule's. Blonde's here with a Fiend's Grip, and there's the blink forward. They didn't even really need the Fiend's Grip that time as the silence was connected. I think a Brain Sap would have been enough to bring him down, but better safe than sorry. And once more, the Bane Elemental just giving the Weaver everything he's got.
Easily the MVP in this game, and I kind of think they've been handing it to him. Like, it's not even like he's been doing great, don't get me wrong, but there are many ways to counterplay a Bane. There's ways to juggle a Nightmare, there's ways to interrupt Fiend's Grip, and just in general, pay more attention to this hero. We often see Clockworks picked up against him and Vengeful Spirits picked up against him because there's so many stuns, but I kind of feel the Rubik should be sufficient. If Weaver was playing more passively or the Rubik was playing more actively, half these kills would not be happening, and that's kind of to the fault of xGame and to the benefit of Bland, really just adding up that kill tally.
Yeah, but still xGame holding on to a decent lead, about 3,000 gold, 7,500 experience, and they are at a tower deficit, so the fact that they are holding on to a gold lead just goes to show how much better form they found just around the map and having that Enchantress clearing out the jungle constantly. Ag Scepter is now up on the Brewmaster. Equal is only 1,200 gold away now, and ooh, big item for the DP. Old Baby Knight now picks up some big HP pieces. Heart of Tarask is there. A good support player has wards everywhere. Reeves Rubik.
He's got blue, yellow, and green, man. He's just making sure that he has just a little bit of every kind all across the map. But apparently it's not enough to keep Mantis alive, so I'm not sure if the wards are as impactful as they need to be. Looks like Mantis is going to be going for his Lincoln Sphere now. Very delayed, but he will be picking it up. Just going for this all-around stats build. Like, if you actually look at the 6 items he's going to be having, they are all about the stats, and that'll give him some good survivability as well as it could mix the damage.
Yeah, that's definitely true. When you see a Lincoln's Weaver, you usually don't think, wow, he hits hard, but with the drums and the Aquila in the fray, that's actually a fair bit of extra agility he gets, and hitting for 150 a pop with the Lincolns and the Geminate attack, not too shabby, and after that, of course, he'll be able to move right into a Desolator or some other pretty hard-hitting item. Rubik will start stacking up the green ones down here as they force out a Radiant Glyph. Weaver and Rubik pressuring the tower, but MYM say, you want to pressure our tier 2, we'll move right into your tier 3, pal. And they group up in the mid lane and start angling for a push. They won't be able to get here in time, though, and it looks like it will end up just being a free tier 2, and there's still plenty of time for Mantis and Reeves to TP home, except Reeves does not have a TP. So Rubik will be stuck.
I thought he just had it. He either gave it to somebody or he canceled it. In either case,
he gave it. Maybe a Weaver didn't have one and he gave it to the Weaver. But either way, he's going to have to dog it on back. And he's walking, but the Grand Magus is not really known for his speed. Bane will intercept him here, and that will delay the Rubik's arrival. Exorcism already deployed, and this tower taking a lot of damage. The glyph has been popped, and now they'll set up onto Reeves here. He gets put inside of the Nightmare. A solo Fiend's Grip as now a Rise comes in. Will connect with the Gale, and it'll be a feed from Reeves here. Now in the mid lane, xGame press forward. They go on to Rise, who manages to get off the Flesh Golem. In comes the Poison Nova from a Rise, gets off his mech as well, but BKB already deployed on What a Fucka. He will not even care as now Mantis comes in. A Rise taking a lot of damage. The regular Rise taking a lot of damage as well. So many low health heroes. Who's going to take out the trash? It looks like it will be the Enchantress. Undying falls. The Venomancer now gets picked off, and Tornado from the Pandas will be used onto the DP. And it looks like she will be in a bit of a sticky wicket here as Jakiro does have a beautiful ice path, completely slows him up. DP will TP home, and Ace will be able to walk back to safety. The hero twin-headed dragon there, minimizing the losses, and it's only a 1-for-2 hero exchange as xGame now will press forward and look to pressure this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, but I mean, I still think they wanted more out of that push. They still are on the clock. We talked about this a lot earlier, so I didn't want to harp on it. But at this point, if you get repelled in this fashion and you start losing huge chunks of your tier 2 tower, you have to question where the fight went wrong. We do see Bland jump again, doesn't have Fiends, but at least we'll get the Nightmare out just for the setup onto the Razor. A lot of damage received by him. The Force Staff pulling him out of it, but can he actually head for the hills?
Oh, he doesn't have a stick and no mana for the mech. Oh, that's so unfortunate for him. Could have done some serious work there with the potential turnaround had he had the mana pool for a mech. But won't happen. Enchantress will grab her Aghanim Scepter, but now caught inside of a Nightmare. Fiend's Grip cooling down in just a couple of seconds. She will Force Staff back to safety. Mantis grabs a Haste Rune and will just show himself, so Bane knows that there's people about, but obviously not eager to fight as he does book it back towards the base. Lincoln Sphere now complete. MYM will just go back into this tier 3 tower, knowing the glyph is down. They'll want to use this opportunity to try and break high ground, and they also have Exorcism at the ready.
Razor's down for 25 seconds is a perfect opportunity to at least claim 1 Rax, and there's very little to stop. But the Exorcism is one of the possibilities, though. Reeves doesn't have much HP, not very durable, but just staying back, letting the Spirits do their thing. They get the deny on the tower, and it will just be, I think, another stalemate between these two sides. These spell steals, the Plague Wards, the Exorcisms, it really makes it difficult to push into xGame's lineup, and it's enough to delay, at least for the Razor.
Yep, this Rubik doing some work with that casual Voidstone. 2,200 gold on him now. If he wants the Yules, he's there. So we'll see what he wants to do. 2 smokes picked up by xGame now. The Enchantress and the Brewmaster alike. So it looks like xGame will now try to counter once more as they group up and rotate through the mid lane. Bane does pick up a gem, so some more map control will come the way of MYM. But they will move into the Roche Pit. Okay, they don't smoke. Okay, they move to the Roche Pit, smoke there, and now they will get aggressive. So faking the Roche, hoping to catch MYM off guard if they have wards down in that vicinity. Roche not respond quite yet, but they know that MYM doesn't know. So they'll use that little cheekiness to their advantage, and they'll do a wraparound here in mid, and this could prove deadly for MYM. Rise will be the first one to get caught. Impetus already laying into him, pops his Blade Mail, tries to heal up, but it just isn't enough. He'll fall, and all the damage that he did with that Blade Mail just will get time-lapsed off.
His death timer is pretty short, but look at all his cooldowns now. He'll be up in 30 seconds, but Tombstone and Flesh Golem will both be down for that time frame, so limited contributions there. At the very least, though, they didn't lose the Bane. He's the one the Geometry site just picked up. If they had lost it within like a minute's time, then that would have just been brutal. Instead, they'll try to go for a bit of a trade, some damage on the tier 3 in exchange for their mid tier 2.
Yeah, one round of Liquid Fire gets deployed. Rubik will get the last hit on the tower mid, and they'll find a kill onto the Bane. Gems on the ground. Somebody better pick it up. There we go. And that's the pickoff they were hoping for. And all of a sudden, that singleton pickoff on the support Undying turned into a very big net worth trade in favor of xGame, where they defend their tier 3, they get a tier 2, and as we saw, the gem will trade hands, pushing them further in the lead now, about 5,000 gold, 7,500 experience. Roshan coming up in just a second. They'll scout it out. They've got the courier there ready and waiting. And with Bane down for 20 seconds, they'll feel pretty safe moving into the pit.
Yeah, there was a clear window for Reeves to steal Fiend's Grip there, but he chose to hang on to the Exorcism. It's going to be up for a little bit longer, and he definitely wants to make the most of that. With this Force Staff, with this Blink, he's mobile, he's active, but yeah, dodging out the Poison Nova, he won't be lacking on HP too much.
Yeah, they'll bring down the Venomancer. He got off the Poison Nova, but the damage just is not that scary. Rise in the front lines. The Ags upgraded back row Pyre doing some pretty serious work here, but just not enough. Tombstone gets picked off. That's another 150 gold bounty going the way of xGame. Baby Knight will fall with the Exorcism deployed, and now MYM just crumbling. Jakiro gets finished off by Rubik's stolen Exorcism there, And now they'll move into the Roche Pit and be able to take this very easily. It seemed like MYM might be able to take this game moments ago, but at this point, they have a big mountain to climb as xGame are really looking strong.
Just going to be able to bring this down, no problem at all. The Exorcism helping out a little bit. Still don't have like a medallion or anything instead of that Void Stone, so that is going to be the last bit of HP taken slowly. But once they claim it, they can go back to doing what they were doing before. Just farm away. They don't need to force high ground here because MYM are the ones under the gun. They're the ones that really need to finish things off. The Veil of Discord puts them into a point where their magic damage is still relevant. It's not tapering too hard, but that's not going to be true for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're holding on, but quickly losing momentum. They need a lane of racks pretty much ASAP with this pushing lineup. As always, that 30-minute mark is a good rule of thumb, and 35 minutes in, it is getting rough in terms of breaking high ground. Enchantress will now grab the Mask of Madness, level 15, halfway to that big level 3 impetus, and of course Ags is already online. So Equal has truly transitioned into carry form here, still having a flawless game, 5-0-7 on the Dryad.
Fluffy Tail status equals untouched.
Ooh.
But yeah, we'll see. One of the few heroes that can really say that Mask of Madness is one of their core items for TPS. The Sven and the Face of Void obviously among those numbers as well. But yeah, when you can put out just massive damage, and when he hits level 16 in particular, the pure nukes are just going to go right through a lot of these heroes. Like they get the items like the Mechanism and the Veiled Discord because it gives Venomancer a lot of armor, but it's still 1600 raw HP. So you punch through that with a few good impetus nukes, and you're going to be in a pretty good spot. Speaking of
top, Bean's Grip on the Stallcat, Silence on 2 as What a Fuck It will just pretty much about face, doesn't even mech right away to save the Brewmaster, and recognizing he may very well just fall here, uses his BKB and now uses the mech.
Is there any reason not to TP there? I don't really understand.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, BKB, maybe he'll TP out, but that's just a wasted Aegis. Now it's a wasted BKB charge.
And Fiend's Grip came out on the Brewmaster, right?
Yeah, that's how they shut him down. I think he could have just TP'd. I doubt they would have had the damage to bring him down in that short duration with a BKB on. But in the mid lane, we'll hold that thought as Ace now taking some impetus chunks as he initiates onto Reeve. Equal will bring him down with one last auto attack. Stallcat right back in the fray. He did buy back for this, and it will prove successful as he brings down Rubik and the Undying. Or pardon me, Rubik falls and they bring down the Undying as well. Does burn the Primal Split as they want to dive the base here. Baby Knight on the high ground. No Exorcism available, but the Pandas will try to go for it. Instead, will get repelled, and yeah, that'll be the end of it. xGame will be forced back, and Brewmaster could be in some trouble here. He'll get caught inside of a Yule's, and the rest of the team will be there to follow up. The Gale will be off the mark, and maybe that will be his saving grace here as now Mantis joins the party as Stallcat stuck inside of the Nightmare.
Corey will snatch up the gem for them as well. It was in the hands of Rubik when he took a spill, so they kind of use that as a little bit of bait, and in the end the courier will make it so that they don't have to drop anything to pick that one back up. As far as D-warding goes, they really don't have anything to take off the map. There's one ward that's going to be up for 2 more minutes, and although it does give some interesting intel, I don't think it's the most consequential for xGame, considering they're already across the map.
Yeah, well, Weaver will grab his Desolator now, so he is really turning into that hard hitter. Doesn't have it in the inventory quite yet, but will grab it on the courier as we speak. So in this next team fight, it will be online and ready to rock and roll. Rubik, again, stopped off for the Force Staff, still with the casual Void Stone.
He's pretty much committed to that. Like, I still feel 100% that it would have been twice as good as like a Medallion of Courage or something like that. Not as much mana regen, but certainly more value for the team. But at this point, it's 875 gold, and he is now at a net worth of 9,000. It's to a point of nitpicking. I feel like it was relevant before the Blink Dagger, but now that he has all these other items, it's just one more that he has, whatever. Yeah,
more just commenting on that. We were talking about maybe he'll go Blink and go straight into a Yule's. Now it looks like he will just move into a Scythe. He picks up an Ultimate Orb. So, okay, I guess he'll just be pulling up for a Mystic Staff and just bring a Hex out onto the field, which is always a good item to have. Just will be a long ways coming as he still is about 2,500 gold away.
Yep, so we're actually going to see possibly a pick-off here. The Tornado will come out, Ice Path to follow, so Reeves is going to go down for sure. But he is a level 16 Rubik. He is going to be up in time to defend his base when the time comes down to it. So this isn't a base-breaking pick-off.
Much obliged.
Certainly not. Now, Equal I don't know why I said equal. he's here. Yeah, equal's here, boys. xGame in the mid lane. It's a 4v5 right now without the Rubik, and I don't know that they really want to take this skirmish. They will get some intel. Compliments the Weaver
Radiant's middle
Scarabs there,
tower
and
is under
Enchantress
attack.
will lose her Centaur, and they will most likely just back out. It will be a smoke, maybe a fake back from xGame. Still in a 5v4 scenario. This is pretty scary to commit into. They still have the Aegis on Razor, maybe, but nope, they will just back up. And now Death Prophet getting very tanky, picks up the Shiva's Guard, has a lot of armor and a little more magic damage, and of course, that nice aura utility to deal with these dire carries.
Yep. So far, it's really on the back of Whatafaka, Equal, and Mantis. Like, the Rubik has made a couple of good steals that hold the position for them, but it's still not giving them forward momentum. xGame need forward momentum on the back of this farmed Weaver, and obviously trying to avoid being picked off at all costs. We're going to see a 4-man movement up against him, so hopefully that comes into play where he doesn't actually farm this camp. This is bad. Oh, but they're not actually chasing down on him. They're just spamming out the Plague Ward's observers, and now they see him. Now they get an easy target. Blink, Midnight, or Nightmare, and then the Fiend's Grip if he can just stop or to get the Sentry down in time, but a little slow on the draw for the detection, and Mantis will be able to evade death.
Yeah, maybe not realizing that he picked the Lincolns there, but will burn the Nightmare right onto the Lincolns, and Weaver survives to tell the tale.
No, I think he knew about the Lincoln Sphere, but it's just the timing. I think he thought he could go for Nightmare Fiend's Grip fast enough, and the Sentry Ward.
He could enfeeble.
Well, no, I mean, he was going to probably Fiend's Grip for the kill no matter, I think.
Yeah,
just to guarantee it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. I was thinking more just because he blinked forward, he needed the Nightmare setup, but yeah, I guess yeah, you're right. Never mind. Strike
40 mana. Your point has merit in the 40 mana sense. Enfeeble is cheaper. It's a better spell, I guess, to start with, but...
I was just thinking he wouldn't Fiend's Grip right away. I thought he would Nightmare for the following setup, but yeah, then Fiend's Grip would have been more than enough had he gotten it off, so... anyhow...
Ooh, Trees.
We'll
this is
see.
not good. He's going to get hit by the Swarm. Lion's dead in this fight.
No. Yeah, Blonde and Baby Knight in
that's
trouble.
close.
He'll get the Yules off, but even if DP survives for a few seconds longer, it's not going to be enough to do anything. Oh no, this is just a disaster for MYM. Now Arise taking a lot of damage. It'll be a 3-0, a godlike streak for Equal. Arise will manage to TP home, and the Bane will make it back out to safety. But the big heroes have fallen, and looking at the buyback status, there are a couple available, but the big one is the Death Prophet. She has the ultimate, but will be stuck in the grave for 50 seconds, and xGame will use this window of opportunity to press up the mid and try to breach the high ground.
Yeah, this fight was over very quickly. Just some weird positioning from a lot of the heroes. The Bane blinked into trees and had to get force-staffed out. And yeah, this just the negative armor is going to actually start really limiting xGame. The Swarm, the Desolator, soon to be AC on the Brewmaster, as well as the Eye of the Storm taking away. So he's just going to sit through his own Nightmare for a very long time, or maybe that was the enemy Nightmare and he was just able to turn it off if he knew the skill worked that way. Either way, we do see the racks dropping down quickly, and Reeds will just get healed back up for the most part.
Yep, Bane will get picked off, and it will be a free lane of racks here in the mid. DP coming up in just a couple seconds, but doesn't really matter. Whatafaka in the bottom lane pops the ulti. We'll be able to take a tier 3 tower. TP is coming in as all of the heroes are respawning. The Gale off the mark once more, and xGame will be happy to back out, but it is still a 5v4 on the field, and even though DP has the ulti with no Fiend's Grip, they may be able to take a fight if they're so inclined. Primal Split cooling down in just a moment as well. And no, they won't go for it. They will just back out. Still, damage has been done in a great exchange for xGame.
Yeah, the fact that they weren't able to get any kills in return for that, it's just showing the state of affairs for MYM and probably the trend for the next 10 to 15 minutes. There is theoretically a chance for them to come back into it, but it would require all of xGame to essentially stand in a macro pyre for a good 4 seconds straight. Like, I think that's one really limiting aspect of their lineup is they went for this Aghanims on a Jakiro. They have the Veil of Discord on the Veno, so there's a lot of potential damage, but there's absolutely no reason to be forced into it. None of the fights have been really in choke points. They've all been on the open battlefield, and people can just maneuver about it and not really suffer from any real control. I guess Gale and Fiend's Grip are the only things that really lock somebody inside that pool of fire.
Yeah, now Enchantress will move into an S and Y, getting a little bit of extra attack speed so the Impetus can come out that much more quickly, and also giving her a little bit more of an HP buffer as she tanks up. They'll move into the Roche Pit, just going to wait out the timer, it looks like, though they need to be cautious. MYM on the high ground. Roche up in 15 seconds. xGame, of course, are not privy to the timer. but they will have to position themselves to deal with this coming onslaught around the backside. They'll find the initiation onto Bane as they jump forward. Thought it was going to come on the other end, but now they go into Baby Knight. He pops his ultimate. The Macro Pyre comes out, but they're dropping everything they have into the Death Prophet. They'll have enough to bring him down. That's a wasted exorcism, and Arise will now fall as well. It's a 3-0. Ace getting chunked down by the Enchantress, and Rise will fall. It's a full 5-man wipe, and that'll be it. GG, well played. MYM just don't have the resources to deal with this Weaver, who has now become a full-on carry with, Jesus, 7,000 gold to boot.
That Enchantress, too. Triple kill for him, just sprunking it up with impetuses flying out and all maximum attack speed. He really was able to do a lot of damage on this side of it. Doesn't really work well with the negative armor strap, but it's still very nice for those heroes that tried to tank up with things like Shiva's Guard. So, good game, well played. 13-0 and 8 equal. Certainly is the most impressive KDA, but as you said, it was really the Weaver and Razor coming online towards the late game that were the biggest contributors to the last couple of fights. So nicely done. They were able to turtle it up. At MYM, I think they really had trouble off the bat finding their rhythm and finding their lanes. So that's going to be another loss for them, unfortunately, but they put up a good fight.
Certainly so. We'll have another quick break as our next match scheduled to start in 15 minutes' time. It will be MYM versus KPG, so they'll get to redeem themselves perhaps against Compass Gaming. Coming up next, I'm Zyori, joined remotely by Blaze. Follow us both on Twitter at ZyoriTV, at BlazeCasting, and of course at Beyond the Summit as well. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be back after this break with more Starladder Season 10 European coverage.